I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. The tea today, too hot to drink, is Keemun First Grade from Tea Runners. Not a paid promo, we just really like their teas, which is a good time to add. Nothing on my channel is a paid promo. I'm not a professional content creator. I do not aspire to be a professional content creator. I just want to play games, have some fun, chat with y'all about games. So, pour yourself a beverage of your choice, and today we're going to look at what we played this weekend, and this weekend was just mostly light stuff and wild stuff. We got in a massive epic game of Forest Shuffle, which oddly enough, we have not played this year. We played it so much, like right up until the end of the year, that it suddenly occurred to me, it's been a while since we played this. I love this game. I love the combos. Every time I play it, it gets even better. We keep finding new things that we can do with the combinations of cards and playing combinations that we've never played before. I got a lot of points off of wild strawberries, and I've never used wild strawberries before. So it's just, it's a constant revelation. And we like it a lot. When Dwayne over at Blackboard Gaming was doing his pure card game thing, he, right up at the top of it, said, I'm not going to count Forest Shuffle because it has a board. And it does. It has a long, thin, narrow board. But you don't actually need that board to play. It's pretty, but it's just the space you put the cards when you pay for the cards you're playing with other cards. And when 10 is out there, then you pick them up. And you can pick up cards out of that space as your draw function for your turn, if you wish to draw from the clearing, as they call it, rather than the deck. But I really feel like you could put these cards into a deck box and just leave the board at home. I don't feel like you actually need the board. What you do need is a huge playing space, because you are like stacking cards up in front of you and building out things around the tree cards. So you're going to have like a space, you're going to have like 8, 10, 12 trees. And you're going to have 4 cards all the way around those 4 trees. And even considering that you're tucking the cards halfway under on the sides, it's still going to take up a huge amount of space. This is like one of those small card games that will take up the whole table. But we love it a lot. We also got in a game of Silver Coin, the Marauder card. We've been playing, and we've played all 4. We rolled the Marauder card into all 4 of them, and this is the only time that we were able to actually use the discard action on those promo cards. So we're going to leave it in coin for now. But yeah, lots of werewolves in the village this weekend. And we got in, I'm working my way to the main event here, we got in another game of Doomlings. I was trying to think if we played 2, but no, I think it was only 1 game of Doomlings, which is a fast, fun, light card game. I discovered there's a dominant trait card that has 7 points on it. I mean, we haven't played this game enough yet that we're super familiar with all the cards, but very early in the game, I had a card that allowed me to take a card out of Robert's hand, and it was like the first or second turn. And I took a dominant trait card that had 7 points on it. I just kind of went, whoa. But this is a huge amount of fun. It plays very, very fast because you have 1 age per round, and some of the ages are catastrophes. There's like 12 ages total. 3 regular, 9 regular and 3 catastrophes. Including the final one, which is End of the World. So you'll have like 3 things that will give you kind of like a little bonus extra thingy in that round, and 9 of those, and then you'll have like 3 in there that will do something that is going to be less fun for all of the people in the round. But we're enjoying it a lot. This is very, very lightweight. Anybody can pick it up and play it. And speaking of anybody can pick it up, we bought it at our local Barnes and Noble. So this isn't going to be something that a lot of people are going to have to super special order or anything. It is available retail and from places that aren't even your FLGS. So your FLGS friendly local game store should have a copy of this, maybe two. There are a bunch of expansions on it. I don't think we are quite to the point of getting expansions because we're still discovering new cards. It's a huge deck of trade cards. Also, there was a Phantom in the house this weekend. I ordered the Phantom expansion for Carcassonne. It comes, which I didn't realize until I saw it to order it, in this little translucent case. And the cases come in different colors, like the same colors as Meeples. And I didn't specify a color. I just waited to see what they sent me. And it was a light purple, which is quite pretty. The Meeples come in the same player colors that you have in the game. Red, yellow, blue, green, purple, and black. The black Meeple, actually, when the light hits it, looks a little bit purplish sometimes. But they are very bright and shiny. They're very pretty, actually, like translucent and everything. And there are no tiles that come with this mini expansion. What this does is the Phantom creepily follows your other followers in Carcassonne. And what that means is that you can use the Phantom either as a regular Meeple, or it can be placed on a second feature on a tile. So like if you place your abbot on the garden, you can place the Phantom in the monastery. Or you can place like your regular Meeple on a city and the Phantom will go on a road. Or you can just use it as a regular Meeple, and it scores just like a regular Meeple. If you have trouble with Meeple management, and I had a lot of trouble in the game we played with this, despite having an extra Meeple. I mean, doesn't that just figure? But if you have trouble with Meeple management, and you don't want to add some kind of an expansion that's going to add more tiles and make the game longer, this is a nifty little expansion to throw in there. It makes the game a little bit more easier, a little bit more colorful, a little bit more fun. It is not a must-have expansion, but I saw it from a vendor, actually an overseas vendor, who got it to me pretty quickly, actually. And I just couldn't resist because that was one I became aware of, I don't even know how many years ago. It was when we first started playing Carcassonne that I became aware of the Phantom. And at that point, being still fairly new to gaming and Carcassonne and everything, I was having a lot of trouble with Meeple management. I'm looking at this and I'm going like, well, I'd really like to put something else on that tile. So the idea of that appealed to me. And when I finally saw one, this is the first time I've ever seen it for sale, then I thought, yeah, I kind of got to get it. But the big thing this weekend, and what took up a lot of the gaming, is I got Tumbling Dice, which is this delightful dexterity, luck-driven dice-chucking game, this is maybe one of the most fun games that we own. It's a party game that is still nevertheless going to be a crazy amount of fun with two players. And there are not too many party games you can say that about. A lot of them can't even be played with two players. But I got it from Tabletop Merchant, and they sent me a nice note that thanked me for my first order in choosing a small business, and says Tumbling Dice is perfect for a fun night of silliness and smiles. And yes, I totally agree with that. One that everyone can enjoy and gather around the table, and that's what it's all about. And that's the great thing about buying from small vendors, is you sometimes get little notes. One time I ordered something from somebody and they actually sent me a die which had like the store symbol on it, which was kind of cool too. I've got the pieces out here. If you don't like assembling stuff before the game starts, this might not be the game for you. But I'm going to see if I can assemble this on camera. It does have assembly and disassembly to be stored. And while I am doing this, let me see if I can get the rules on here. Maybe not in the same screen with this. Okay. This is your landing pad. And you have the other things here. You can tell by the picture on the back, there are no instructions for putting it together, but the picture on the back shows you how to do it. You got these larger, chunkier pieces here of different heights. And I hold up to, no, they aren't the same height. That's what I'm saying. I hold up two that are the same height. I'm going to have to stand up here, so you're not going to see my head while I do this. And I'm going to put this together on camera here, if I can remember how to do it. Because I'm just sort of nervous doing stuff on camera. There are holes on the back side. You plug these things in. This is the tallest piece. It goes under the landing pad. The next tallest pieces go here. The next tallest pieces, whoops, nope, that one's done. And this says 0. It attaches to the piece that says, and you can't see it from my hand, it attaches to the piece that says 1. I found out about this game. Let's see here. Yeah, the plugs don't go all the way through, and that came out. It does disassemble easily, maybe a little too easily for me doing this while I am talking to you. And underneath here, let me see, 1, 2, yeah, here we go. The next level pieces are this size. They go here and here, and then this will be 2, and it will plug in like this. Actually, since I've got the 2 here, I'll go ahead and put the next level pieces in here. There we go. Snappy thing, all snappy thinged. And the third one, this is the final and highest scoring landing area, 3s and 4s. Let me see here. Yeah, here on the bottom, we have the last 2 shortest legs here on the bottom. And then you have holes here to go into. Yeah. And it's done, except for the bumpers on the top. This feels a little fragile to me, like it's going to come apart. So I would recommend, and I do think a peg came out. Yeah, the top peg. I would recommend putting it together on the table where you are going to be playing it. You can kind of carry it around, but maybe not. That's maybe not a good thing to do. I learned about this game on the Watch It Played stream of their party in PEI this past summer. They played this on a game table, which if you have a game table, I would highly recommend using this for it, because you're going to be rolling dice and they're going to go everywhere, especially until you get the hang of exactly. These are the little bumpers on here that will block some of the dice from going off the board in the case of the 4s or higher levels here, or actually off the boards. And the game is fully assembled now. So though it has assembly is not particularly onerous. The dice are, it was like kind of a weekend of translucence, because I have those translucent meeples for the Phantom, for Carcassonne, and the dice for this are also translucent. It plays up to 6. We've got 6 player colors: red, green, a dark blue, and a light blue, and this pink, and the yellow, which does not show up well on the board. The yellow is almost the same color as the yellow here, so it does not show up well. How you play. This is your landing starting pad here. you must touch this area, because otherwise people could just drop their dice wherever they wanted it. So when you flick, roll, throw, push, shove, whatever your dice, it must touch this. If your dice lands in this area, which is 0, these areas here are point multipliers, and a pip that is 5 that lands in 0 is 0, because 0 times 5 is 0. And you're supposed to take the dice off the board if the flick lands on a 0. And the reason for that is that if you're playing with a whole bunch of people and everybody's got 4 dice, that this area here can get really clogged up, and then you're just kind of pushing things down and inching down to the higher levels. But with 2 players, the way we played it, we just left things that were in the 0 zone, because that allowed the possibility that we could bump them into another area. And there's going to be a lot of bumping in this game, and in some cases that's what you want to do. You also don't want to put a whole lot of force on the dice throw. My first dice throw, it hit here, went down the board, skidded down the table, bounced off the wall, went on the floor and under a chair. So yeah, and that's another reason why I said if you have a game table, this should go on the game table, not on any other table that you might have, because the felt will keep the dice from just going on forever down the table, and it will also keep the dice from going off the edges, because we had to retrieve a few, especially until we got the hang of it. And we played this standing up. I'm going to see if I can get a good throw here sitting down. And you see this bumper here kept it from going off. This now scores a pip of 4 times 3. I have taken my turn. The person with the next die will then take their turn, and on around. After everybody has rolled 1 die, then you start back from the beginning and you roll your second die. And then the next person and the next person and the next person, and then the third die, and the next person and the next person and the next person, and then the 4th die. Oh, yes! Look at that. I got a 6. On the times 4. That is basically as good as it gets. And I did it on camera. I proved I could do it. But, so each person rolls 1 die, then each person rolls their second and their third and their 4th, and then that's the end of the round, and you add up your score according to this. Like the zeros in the rules of the game, if you're not playing with 2 people, the zeros, as soon as it lands on 0, it's taken off so that this area remains clear. But then you multiply the dice with pips times 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Let's see, drop this here. 6 times 2 is 12. 5 times 3 is 15. 6 times 4 is 24. Everybody adds up their die. This did not come with a score pad. I don't know if it was supposed to or not. It doesn't look like it was supposed to. But the Watch It Play team that played this in the party at PEI that I saw, and that just made me want this game so badly. I will put a link to that in the description below. You should, if you just want to sit down and for about a half an hour watch people have a blast, like moaning and screaming and mugging at the camera and everything, playing a game, then this is what you want to watch. There's no instruction sheet. The instructions for the game are printed on the back of the box, and they are fairly simple instructions. This is one of those games that anybody, people who are not board gamers, can play for family game night, or just a party or anything like that. You can order score pads and extra dice from the Eagle Griffin Games website, because it is an Eagle Griffin game. And this game dominated our weekend. I mean, I know it's light, I know it's simple, but there is kind of dexterity and strategy involved, because you're trying to bump your dice that landed here kind of lower, and you're trying to flick it so that you like nudge it into a higher scoring thing, but then the dice may tumble and you may actually get a lower value. And you're also like trying to, any dice that go off the board does not score. So if you can bump somebody's dice off without your own dice going off, I should add, nothing outside the board scores, nothing in the zero scores. Zeros are cleared away as soon as they're flicked if you're playing with a bunch of people. Like I said, we didn't do that for 2 players. It just added a little bit more interest to see if we could actually hit something that close. You would be surprised at how often we still had 1 or 2 die that was in the zero because we flicked it there, it didn't go far, and we couldn't nudge it because we have to hit it and it's got to like land there. But these bumpers are great lifesavers to keep you from going off the board right there between the 4s. But it is a huge amount of fun. If you want one of those games where people are going to be standing around the table and they're going to be going, oh, and yes, and oh my gosh, and no, and don't you hit my dice. And if you want something that where players are going to remain totally and completely engaged in the game every minute for the whole time of the game, this is it. And there's going to be a lot of whooping and shouting and that kind of thing. I mean, I was doing practice things because, like I said, after I did that first die and it just went off to Mars, I mean, I thought, yeah, I need to practice this so that I don't throw it so hard and that I don't throw it so soft that it ends up in the zero. And I was making so much noise on my practice things that Robert in the other room came in to see what was going on. I told him that we might not want to just play this game a whole lot. We played it a whole lot this weekend, but I mean, like just play it over and over and over again, like every night or anything like that until we got really, really good at the dice flicking and pushing. And there are different techniques. You got to find your style. That we might not want to do that because that would give us an unfair advantage when we played with other people who hadn't played the game before. And he just kind of looked at me and deadpanned. And we'd want to do that because, you know, it's like, why? It's like, shouldn't we be trying to do better than other people? So, but yeah, I can see how if you've played it a lot, you could get, because there's strategy and dexterity involved. This is a dexterity game. I posted about it on Blue Sky. I am TN Games on Blue Sky. And just look at the Hashboard Games feed because I'll turn up there. That would be an easy way to find me. But I mentioned this over the weekend there, and someone who ran the dexterity games at BGG Con mentioned that one year he didn't put Tumbling Dice on the board, and he heard about it like within the first hour. It had to be pulled out and put out there. So because this is so much fun. And I mean, I feel like it is a dexterity game, but at the same time, I feel like there's just so much luck in here. And I mean, there were some times where it's like my aim and my dexterity was perfect, but the dice going down these different levels took like a weird bounce. And it's like some corner, like when it went off, it hit on a corner and then suddenly went off to the side. And I'm going like, well, that was going so well for like a half a second. But yeah, it's dexterity and there's strategy, but there's luck and there's like that whole weird bounce thing you can get sometimes, and other people can bump your dice or you can bump other people's dice because you're trying to get to the 4s down here, or at the very least the 3s. So yeah, it's a very dynamic game, and it's very much an anything can happen. I think that, and because you're dealing with dice, it's not just a matter of I am putting an object on these numbers for these amount of points. I mean, sometimes I had like a 6 on the 1, and I bumped the 6, and it went to the 2, but the dice tumbled when it got bumped. It didn't just slide neatly over the edge. And so I ended up with pips that said 2. So I went from potentially scoring 6 to now I'm scoring 4. So yeah, there's a lot of luck in there. So I mean, if you've got somebody that's very good at dexterity, they're gonna be good at but only up to a point, because you can't have total control over what number these dice are gonna come up. But this game dominated the weekend. I don't even know how many times we played it, because we just played it and played it and played it and played it because it was just so much fun. And I finally packed it away and put it in the box, partly because I wanted to see if it was easy to take apart, and if once I took it all apart, I could figure out how to fit it back into the box. And I did. It comes with bubble wrap, and I had these pieces stacked on the board here at the beginning of the video because I had stuck the pieces back into the bubble wrap in some sort of way, and I just took them out because that cuts a little bit of the mess and flutter all over the table when I'm doing a video, because my table is cluttered enough when I'm doing videos, as my regular viewers know. And speaking of which, hi to new subscribers. I'm happy to have you here. I hope you're having fun playing board games, and thanks for hanging out with us. Drop a comment. I reply to comments. Although there have been a couple of occasions where YouTube has not shown me comments, and I've discovered them later and had to just click like or reply a weirdly long time later after the comment was dropped. So, but most of the time YouTube will be good about the comments, and I will see them and I will like or comment or something like that. But anyhow, we had a lot of fun this weekend. I mean, admittedly, this was a very light games weekend. I mean, this was maybe the lightest game weekend we've had in a long time, with the exception of Forest Shuffle, because Forest Shuffle, those card combos and making the decisions about which cards you're going to hang on to and try to buy and place, and putting together the synergy of the cards, trying to figure things out based upon what you're getting and trying to figure out what you're likely to get, and the card combos. And I sometimes had tough decisions between which part of the card that I wanted to use and which I was not going to be able to use. It's a surprisingly thinky small box game, and it's a lot of fun. You're building an ecosystem. But other than that one, these games were all kind of no-brainer sort of games, but that's okay too. It was a rainy weekend, so we had this kind of weird sort of nice light games, things to make and do sort of weekend with the board games. And I mean, you do have to take this apart and put it back together again, because, I don't know, picking this thing up and pieces maybe coming out, and see, it seems a little bit bendy here when I pick it up. I don't think I would store this fully assembled, not unless you were saying man, I'm just gonna I'm gonna do something super permanent, super glue these things, or do something to make all of the pieces stay together forever and never put it back in the box. But I think really this should be taken apart and stored. Unless you have a real flat surface and you're not going to be piling stuff on top of it or something like that. But yeah, we would play this over and over and over again, and then we would push it down to the end of the table and play something else much, much smaller, and then we'd pull it back up and we'd start throwing dice again. But yeah, I think this may be our most fun dice chucking game. Yeah. But it's been fun sitting around the table talking about games with y'all. I hope y'all are having a good time, and I will see you all next time round the table. Bye.